Um, but it's easy for people to become cynical, and especially in New York. And I'll give you an example why. Just one example. I think it was in 1995, I think? Anyway, I was back from the Caribbean. I had just gotten over dengue fever. It was during that time. And I wasn't working. I was unemployed. And I was looking for a position. But anyway, it was a beautiful fall afternoon. So I said, let me go to a matinee, go see a movie. So I went to this very small movie theater. I don't know if it's still there. It's on 19th Street and Broadway. And I had my fall coat on. It was all like a tapestry. It looked like a rug. I remember that coat because I got it at Macy's in the basement bin for $50. And every time I'd walk into Saks, they'd be like, people come up to me and they'd be like, who's the designer? That coat is gorgeous. It looked great on me, so I would wear it in the fall, just, when it was not too cold, not too hot, like around 65 or so. So anyway, I'm wearing this coat. And I'm standing, waiting online to go to the movie. And I see this young kid, he's like 17 years old, right? And he's in a wheelchair. And he's got a big cup in his hand, like from the movie theater, like this big soda cup, empty soda cup. And he's begging for money. And I was like, I felt so bad for him because he was such a young kid, I think he was 17, 18, but he was, small, boyish face. He didn't have any stubbles on his face. He was young. He was like, a kid. And I felt so bad for him because people, like, he was begging for money, like, as he was crossing the street. And, one guy kicked his wheelchair and said, fuck off, And, he was just like asking for $1. So I had a couple of bucks. So I gave him a couple of bucks. I put it in his little cup. That was a big cup. And I said, what happened to you? Why are you in a wheelchair? And he said, I got hit by a truck. And he says, it wasn't like a giant truck. It was a small truck, but it was a big, it was big enough to like hurt me. And I ended up in the hospital and I'm in the wheelchair and I'm going to get out in a few months. But right now, like, I can't work because, I'm in this wheelchair and it's going to take me, a few months to heal. But so right now I need money. I need to pay my rent. I said, well, where's your family? He goes, I don't have any family. So it's just me. And he says, I have to like be able to eat and pay bills. And it's going to only take me a few months to get back on my feet. So my heart broke for him, And I said, look, I don't have any money. I get into the movie for free because I'm in the Screen Actors Guild. And, during this time they give us free passes to movies and I can use my SAG card to get in for nothing. And I'm not working, so why don't you come to the movie with me? He goes, oh no, I couldn't do that. I mean, look, he gave me a couple of bucks and you don't even have any money. He says, you're a very nice, lady. And, nice woman. You're a nice woman. I appreciate it. But no, I can't do that. I can't go to the movies with you. I said, well, why not? I mean, I'm not paying for it. I get tickets for two. And he's like, no. He kept blowing me off. And, as people passed by, he was like asking them for money and putting his cup up. So he's asking about me, and I said, yeah, I used to live in the Caribbean for a few years, and I came back to New York because I got sick. And anyway, I'm like looking for work myself. So we're chatting and everything, and he's a nice young kid, and I felt bad for him. So I said, look, like we're sitting here, hanging out talking. Like, why don't you come into the movie theater with me, I mean, it's a good movie playing. I don't remember what was playing, to tell you the truth. But I know I wanted to see it. And it was something that he would be interested in seeing. It wasn't like some girl movie. It was, more of like unisex. So anyway, I'm like, look, you really should come to the movie with me. I have no one to sit there in the movie theater with, and we're having a nice conversation. You're a nice young kid. Like, you should just come in. It's not going to cost me anything. after a while, he's like, yeah, okay, I'll come in, but I have my wheelchair. It says wheelchair accessible. I mean, on the door here, so he's like, I don't know, I feel really funny. And he's, hesitant, but I'm trying to convince him. And so he's like, okay, I'll come in. And yeah, I'd like to spend some time with you in the movie theater. We can enjoy a movie together. So he comes in the wheel, but he says, listen, you gotta let me at least pay for the popcorn and the sodas. You want popcorn and soda? I'll buy it for you. He goes, no, I'm going to buy you the popcorn and soda. So as we're rolling in to the go to the concession stand, he he pours out this giant cup of change. There must be like $20 in there. And I said, I really feel uncomfortable you paying for the sodas because, the soda was pretty, and the popcorn was pretty expensive. He's like, no, I make $20 an hour out there. He goes, you don't understand. I make money out there. Like, yeah, it's hard. Like, I have to beg, but, like, I make $20 an hour and it's tax-free. So please let me buy you the popcorn and the soda for both of us. I said, you make $20 an hour begging out there? Are you kidding me? Like, tax-free? He's like, yeah. I was like, wow. So he's pouring out this big plastic cups that you get in the movie theater. He had one of those, and it was full of change. And he pours it out, and there's all this, coins and quarters and dollars falling out of it. And he's asking for popcorn and soda at the concession stand, and he's sitting in the wheelchair, because he's like, oh, you're such a nice lady, you're such a nice woman, like, nobody ever talks to me the way you talk to me. They just, they give me money, but they walk away, or they kick my wheelchair, or they curse at me. And, we've been standing outside having a nice conversation and talking, and you spent time with me. And he goes, I really feel bad. I feel bad. I feel like I can't do this. And he gets up from his wheelchair. And he's standing there and he walks around. He says, I'm not really, crippled. I never got hit by a truck. He goes, this is what I do for a living. I beg and I make money. I make $20 an hour out there, tax-free. I was just, standing there, in shock, I didn't know what to say. I wasn't mad at him, but I wasn't happy about the situation either. I was because, I had been taken, and I felt like an idiot. He goes, I guess you don't want to take me to the movie anymore. I said, well, no, of course I do. I mean, we're already in here. We already got the tickets. And you already ordered the soda and the popcorn, so we might as well go inside and enjoy the movie. So, so I don't remember what movie it was, but because I don't think I was watching the movie at this point throughout the 2 hours that we were in there. Because I was sitting there saying, what does a person do in this situation? How should I feel? I didn't know how I was feeling. I was relieved that he wasn't crippled. I was relieved that, he was fine. But at the same time, I was you son of a bitch. What are you doing to people? That's not right. He took the wheelchair and he parked it, in a corner outside the doors of the movie theater. The usher says that they'll watch it for him. I don't know. I don't remember watching the movie and being engaged in it because I was just sitting there saying, what do I do after the movie's over and we leave? I don't know what to say to this guy. So then we leave the movie theater. I said, did you enjoy the movie? He goes, yeah, it was really good. I was he goes, did you like it? I said, yeah, I think so. I just couldn't believe that somebody would do something like that. The way I grew up, I would never even consider something like that, except maybe as a joke, a temporary joke, to put on film or something, but not as maybe a spoof, but not as an actual this person, that's how he makes a living. Oh, that's what he did. That's what he did too. When we left the movie theater, he took the wheelchair and he got back in the wheelchair. And I was like, why are you getting back in the wheelchair? And he's like doing this, going out of the theater. He says, because I have to go back to work. I have to go back to work. Oh, I'm getting like a Charlie horse in my stomach. He's like, I have to go. I said, what do you mean you have to go back to work? I thought you were like giving up your life of crime. He goes, no, I need to pay the rent. So I'm like, all right, well, if you have to do that, let's go across the street to the deli and have a cup of coffee with me and let me like at least listen to what I have to say, okay? He goes, sure. We go to this little deli on the corner across the street. It was like, you had a few tables and chairs where you could sit and eat. So, I got a cup of coffee for both of us. And I'm asking, I'm saying, like, why are you doing this for a living? Like, I don't understand. Like, you're young. You have your whole life ahead of you. You can, like, go to college. You can get a profession. He goes, well, I don't have family, and this is what I have to do in order to pay the rent. So he goes, I also steal Social Security checks out of people's mailboxes, And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, that's how I make money too. He goes, that's something I have to do because there's no way I could survive. I said, well, you don't have to do that. You're like a young kid and you have like, there's options. You can go to school. You can go to college. You can work for somebody. He's like, it just went over his head. He was like, why would I want to do that? I make $20 an hour tax free. Why would I want to do that? I said, well, you shouldn't be taking like elderly people's money out of their mailboxes. Like that's a federal offense. What if you get caught? I'm like, I'm just trying to talk to you to try to get you to go straight. I mean, there's so many things you could do with your life. He says, well, what are you talking about? You're unemployed. I'm like, yeah, that's true. And he says, if you get a job, you're probably not going to make as much money as me. I'm like, why don't you just be a stand-up comedian or something? Or go into acting? Because he was very funny and he's very sharp. And that's another thing I told him. I said, there are people in your situation for real. And so you're taking away their credibility. And that's what concerns me the most. Because there are people out there that need help. And he says, yeah, you're right about that. I never thought of it that way. I should think about that, But, and then then he put on, and then like when he came out, he put on his yarmulke. I said, are you Jewish? He goes, no, I'm not Jewish. I said, why are you wearing the yarmulke? He says, because I get more money in Jewish neighborhoods if I wear the yarmulke. So hard because this kid was so funny. He was just funny because he was just matter of fact and upbeat about the whole situation. And I said, look, I really think you should consider what I said. I don't know why, but I think you should because you can't live a life of crime. He says, no, you're a really nice lady. You're a really nice person. I really appreciate you spending time with me. And I couldn't lie to you about being crippled and being in a wheelchair or being hit by a truck because you're just too nice a person. And I didn't want to take advantage of you. And I didn't want to lie to you. Like, I felt like you really cared and were interested in me as a person. And you took the time to talk to me and spend time with me and joke around with me. And, that's everything. That means a lot to me. And I'm touched that you felt that way and that you chose not to lie to me in particular, even though you've lied to all these other people. But I really want you to consider what I said to you. I mean, there's lots of options for you. You're young. And he said, no, I will consider that. I just don't know what I want to do with my life. I left there. We parted ways. I never saw him again because it was just way over my head. And that's what happened to me one fall season in New York City.